To the Bible Christian to God and Brother Jacob. And happy Sabbath, everyone. Those of you viewing us live on Facebook, those of you in the BCOG teleconference room, and those of you that are joining us on YouTube. We are getting into a lesson today that's entitled The Biblical Day, a Scripture by Scripture Walk. Scripture by script, we are going to break down what a day is according to the Bible. You hear people say, well, it's Jewish day. Well, the Jew wasn't in the beginning, nor did a Jew create the day. Number two, we're going to get into some highlights. We're going to deal with how a day starts. We're going to deal with what constitutes a day according to the Creator. When it begins and when it ends. Even this lesson helps us how to understand how to observe the Lord's holy days as deemed according to the Scripture. Okay? And we're going to provide and show you in this lesson how the Bible is a living, the Word is living, and certain events that transpired in the Bible, we're going to see when they actually occurred and how they fall within the scheme of chronological order of the time. Now behind me, I have a chart that actually lines it all out. And you can go online. You can go online. We're going to deal from the night part. We're going to start from the night, and we're going to go into the day. And if you don't, you can go online on our website and actually download this handoff under the BibleChristiansOfGod.com. You go into the handout tab. It has a complete biblical day. So you can actually follow along as I go through these scripts. Day by day, script by script, a walk from sundown to sundown. We're going to walk it through the Bible. We're even going to learn how to count a day according to the Bible. We're going to actually learn how to count a day. So we're going to do a count, and then we're going to look at how the Bible deals with the equinox a little bit. We're going to touch on that a little bit. And then we're going to show you, also I have here a display of how the Bible shifts, how the day shifts from being short for long nights. And I have another one for the longest days of the year. Why does this occur? But we're going to first get the basic understanding of when the day starts according to the Bible. I want to start with this chart. And let's get some understanding first of all. Key definitions on this chart. I want to break that down first before we start walking script by script by script from the night until the daytime. Now, terminology is very important to understand, y'all. The evening is defined as the close of a day, which is part one of the definition, and the start of the night. So the word evening has two-part meaning, and we're going to walk through it as we go through this chart. And you see how the scriptures point that out. Also, the word even, meaning on the same plane or level as you are. Okay? Very simple. The Lord, the simplicity of Christ is amazing. If you just look at it, believe what it says, understand that, your understanding will be incredibly enhanced. Notice the word twilight is in the Bible. It's the light before sunrise and after sunset. This is called the twilight. Also, the word dark, we got to deal with that. Dark means without light. Okay? Then we got the word darkness, which means the lightness of dark. It's the difference between you're in the closet, and if you close the door and there's no light in there, you're in the dark. But if you light a little flashlight in there, which you like click, now you're in darkness, the lightness of dark. That's the difference between darkness and dark. Also, the word, hold on, let me scoot to the side right quick. The other definition you got to be mindful of, sunrise and sunset, which we all as Sabbath day keepers, we're always mindful of when is the sunset for the Sabbath day. We're going to deal with that. Now, what constitutes the definition of a sunset? All this come out of the Webster Dictionary. You can go get a dictionary and look it up for yourself. Sunset It occurs when the geometric zenith of distance of the center of the sun is at a 90-degree or horizontal to your location. This is why the sun sets at a different time here in Germantown as opposed to Columbus, Ohio, as opposed to when it's in Chicago, as opposed to when it's in Houston, as opposed to when it's in Las Vegas, at a different time when it's in LA. All across the world, it's based on your location. That's where the sun sets, how it is determined. Also, we're going to look at the word morning. We're going to let this define what the morning is. The morning is the early part of the daytime. Now, another term we got to understand, it's all on the chart if you go and print it off. Dawn. Dawn means the beginning of anything. Okay? And we're going to find out that there are two dawns on this chart, y'all. Now, here's what I want to do. We want to walk this from the night until the day. Also on this chart, I want to read this. It's a graphic illustration of a complete day from start to finish according to the scriptures. Now, nighttime and daytime, this illustration is based on an equal day and equal night. I chose that so because everything is laid out in that equal day and equal night, which is another word is called the equinox. And we're going to see how that plays an important part in understanding when Jesus died. We're going to actually see what time did Jesus actually die according to the scriptures, and it's going to tell you when he died. Now, 12 hours a night and 12 hours a day, events which occur in the months, this time of equal day and equal night occurs between the 20th of March and the 21st of March, and between September 22nd and September 23rd. Even so, this year, our feast of Memorial Blowing of the Trumpet occurs the day after we've entered into the last part of the year. So that's after the equinox. Anybody having their feast before the equinox is still in the same season as summer, but we'll see how this goes along. Now, this complete day by the scriptures. We're going to walk this, y'all. Now, I want us to focus on, I'm going to hide this part right quick, because I want us to focus on the day part, the night part. Okay? Now, if you're listening via the teleconference call room, you can't see. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to draw a line on your paper, and I want you to write the word evening on your paper, and right beside that word evening, sundown. And we're going to write scriptures under there, and we're going to walk it all the way down. I'll let you know when we're switching from the sundown to when we get to midnight to when we coming into the morning part. Okay, so please write down the word evening and put beside it sundown. Now, the following scriptures we're going to walk is piece by piece. What constitutes a sundown? Let's look at what the Bible says is sundown. The part one, the one where the sun is down. Let's go to Leviticus 22 and 7. Leviticus 22 and 7. We're going to walk this from the evening all the way to midnight, all the way to early morning to sunrise. So I'm going to focus on this part of our journey here. This part right here, for the Facebook people, that if you can see that. But this is the part we're focusing on tonight. What constitutes the night part? What starts the night, according to the Bible? Because there's been some people say, well, the Sabbath day really don't start until the sun comes up. Well, guess what? They haven't been studying the Word of God, and we're going to clearly see that the day starts when the sun goes down, and what constitutes sundown, we're going to read. Leviticus 22 and verse 7. I'm sorry, I need to start at verse 6. Verse 6. Leviticus 22 and verse 6. Watch this. It says, the soul which hath touched any such shall be unclean until the evening. Now, evening is what we're talking about right here. Evening is when the sun is down. And it's going to say that. And shall not eat of the holy things unless he washes flesh. Notice, And when the sun is down, he shall be clean. So this is sundown. This constitutes the beginning of evening. Now, to show you that we're heading into the night part, I want to go a little further into this. Let's look at Joshua 10 and 26. Joshua 10 and 26. Because when the sun is down, that constitutes even, and that begins what's called the period called night. The night has a beginning, it has a middle part, and it has an ending part. Again, the night has a beginning, a mid. This is why we have what's called midnight. Because anything that's got a middle, it has a beginning and it has a what? An end. That's why you have the term midnight. And we're going to look at how the Bible expresses that. So Joshua 10 and 26. Joshua 10 and 26. We're going to walk this down script by script, piece by piece, going from sundown to sundown. So Joshua 10 and verse 26. Joshua 10 and 26. Afterwards Joshua smote them and slew them and hanged them on 5 trees. And when they were hanging upon the trees until evening, watch this, and it came to pass at the time at the going down of the sun that Joshua commanded that they took them down off the trees and cast them into the cave where they had been hid, and laid great stones in the cave's mouth, which remain until this very day. So notice, at the going down of the sun, this is the evening. This is part 2 of the definition, because part 1 is when you in the time called night, and we're going to look at that right quick. But let's go a little further. Let's go to Jeremiah 6 and 4. This chart walks it all the way down. We stacking the deck. Each scripture showed you what the last one was saying, so you get a good understanding of what constitutes an evening. So we're going to Jeremiah 6 chapters. What you want to write down, those of you that are in the teleconference call room, because we're in the evening now. We're not in the evening that's the action of the sun going down. We're in the evening part that's called night. The night has a beginning, and watch this. Joshua 6 and verse 4. It says, prepare you war against us. Arise and let us go up at noon. Now, we ain't got to that part yet. Noon is when the sun is at its highest point, period, over our heads, and it's going back down. Or should I say at a location at its highest point. It ain't going no higher, and then it's going back down. Notice, woe unto us, for the day goes away, for the shadows of the evenings are stretched out. So now before we come to the sundown, we have what's called the shadows of the evening, but then you come to a sundown that marks the evening or the nighttime. And let's go a little further. Let's go to Matthew 16 chapter and examine that. Matthew 16. Matthew 16 and verse 1. It says, the Pharisees also with the Sadducees came and tempted and desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. And he answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say it is fair weather, for the sky is red. Now we all know the sky is red when the sun is what? Down. That's the evening. So there's a part of the evening that leads right up, the shadows of the evening, and then when you go to sundown, boom, you're in the other part of the definition of evening, which is when the sky is red, which is the beginning of night. It's not night yet. I mean, it's not dark yet. It's the beginning of the night. We haven't gotten to the dark, or rather we see in darkness, because when you go out there, you can observe this very thing, and I encourage you to take this chart and just watch the whole evening or whole day pan out. So when the sun goes down, the evening, the sky is red, like Jesus said, and I want to stop right there because we're gonna come back to this later for the morning part. Okay? So now, let's walk now. Here's what I want to point out. The night. Let's go to Genesis 1 and 5. Genesis 1, chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. Because it has a beginning part, y'all. But see, how the Lord counted day, we finna see right here. What's the first thing come in the gate, even when the Lord went to do the creation, y'all? Did he start with day, or did he start with night? Okay? So right here, it says, Genesis 1 and 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth without form was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light. So he said, let there be light, because what? It was darkness there. And God saw the light, and that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness, and God called the light day. That's the part we ain't got to that yet. We're going to get to the day part yet, but we're focusing on the night. And the darkness he called night. See? And the evening, which is the same as the night, that's why we got the night right here. The evening was the morning and the first day. So now we understand the order of when the day begins. It doesn't begin with light. It started with darkness, or it starts with night. And the evening, it takes the evening and the morning, y'all. An evening and the morning. We're going to see that when we get into counting a day. It takes the evening and the morning to pass before you get the first day. After that, rather, after evening and the morning, you have your first day. So now, here's what I want to do. I want to point out a little further before we get into these little triangles on here. Why are there 4 triangles? Now remember, we're dealing with an equinox, an equal amount of day and equal amount of night. This is the example that's on the handout, and this is the example that I'm using here. So now what I want to do is show you how at evening you also have the twilight. So let's go to Exodus, I'm going to go to Exodus 12. I'm sorry, Ezekiel 12. Ezekiel 12 and 1. We're going to go to Ezekiel 12 and 1. Those of you that are in our Facebook room, I just want to encourage you, hey, if you'd like to join the BCOG X room, send me inbox me on Messenger, and I'll add you to the BCOG X room so you can be in at the immediate opening with our prayer and acknowledgments. Just want to give you a heads up on that. But Ezekiel 12, now we're going to see the twilight, y'all. It's at evening, okay? So here in Ezekiel, I keep saying X. Ezekiel 12 and 1. It says, for the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house, which have eyes to see and see not. They have ears to hear and hear not, for they are a rebellious house. And we are like that, y'all. No, she said, therefore, thou son of man, prepare these stuff for removing, and move by day in their sight, and thou shalt remove from thy place to another place in their sight, and it may be they will consider, though they be a rebellious house. Now watch this. Then shalt thou bring forth thy stuff by day in their sight, and stuff for removing, that thou go forth at evening. At even. Notice it doesn't say evening, but at even, which is sunset, in their sight, as they go forth into captivity. Dig thou through the wall in their sight, and carry thereby. In their sight shalt thou bear it upon thy shoulders, and carry it forth in the twilight. So when the sun sets, that is your evening. This is also your twilight. And I sat on to actually observe this thing, y'all. If you actually go out there just before sundown, I mean maybe like 5 minutes, and you see the sun, you see the moon, it's real dim, and as soon as that sun set, boom, stars pop up. It's almost like the Lord put a light switch. Click, click. That moon just brightens up. Whoo. Now it's dominating because it began in the evening, and then you start seeing stars appear in the twilight. That's why he said you at evening in their sight, and they go forth into captivity. And like I said in verse 6, in their sight shalt thou bear it upon their shoulders, and carry it forth in the twilight. Thou shalt cover thy face, and thou shalt see not the ground, for I have set thee as a sign unto the house of Israel. Notice, and I did so as I was commanded. Notice, this is the action. He carried it out. And I brought forth my stuff by day as stuff for captivity. And in the even, meaning when the sun did set, we're going to see that, I digged through the wall with my hand. I brought it forth in the twilight. So that twilight occurs in the first watch. It's the first watch in the night, and it's the last watch of the night. That's when you get a twilight. Because soon as that sun rises up, the stars disappear. That's how you know you're in the beginning of the night on your way to midnight. Okay? So, and I buried it upon my shoulder in that sight. So now, let's keep walking this thing down. Let's go to Leviticus 15 chapter. And verse 11, verse 1. Again, you write this down. This is all under the evening. I probably should have told you if you're listening to the conference call, we'll make a column. So on the evening, just write these verses straight down. All this has everything to do with the beginning of the night. So we're going to go to Leviticus 15 and 15 and 1. I'm taking this whole lesson off the chart because we're going script by script. We're going to visually follow it right through. And if you're writing down these scripts, we're actually still in the beginning of the night. We're in the twilight part, actually. So Leviticus 15, and watch this, y'all. 15 and 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying to Aaron, and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When any man hath a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue, he is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue, whether his flesh run with issue, or his flesh be stopped with his issue, it is his uncleanness. Every bed whereon he lieth that hath the issue is unclean, and everything whereon he sitteth shall be unclean. Now this is in the holiness, so if this man is unclean, now watch what's going to make him clean. Whosoever toucheth his bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. What is the even? When the sun sets. So he's unclean until that sun set, or when the stars show up in the twilight, boom. That's when he clean. And he that sitteth on anything whereon that he have the issue shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And he that toucheth the flesh of him that hath the issue shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And notice, he keeps saying until the even, which means when the sun is horizontal to it, boom, it's even with you. As soon as the stars will come up, you have just become clean. So now, if he that have the issue spit upon him that is clean, then shall he wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the eve. So now, see, I'll go far enough on that. I'm going to skip down to verse 16. It says, And if any man see the copulation go out from him, then shall he wash his flesh in water and be unclean until the even. So this copulation is a biblical word for sexual activity with your wife. You are unclean until the sun goes down. After that, you are clean. That's what that verse is saying. So now I'm going to keep reading. And every garment and every skin where the seed of copulation shall be washed with water and be unclean until the even or sundown. And the woman also with the whom the man shall lie with seed of copulation, they both shall bathe and themselves in water and be unclean until the even. Now what I want to do is show you how the evening means sunset. No, I'm jumping ahead myself. I want to keep that moving. We're going to go, right now we're going to go to Mark. Let's go to Mark 1 and 32. Because it's going to let you know at evening means sunset. Mark 1 and 32. Again, this is a biblical day, scripture by scripture. Walking through, just getting in the beginning of the night, y'all. We got a whole day to go. Just kidding, y'all. I ain't going to do this all day. I'm just talking about right here, y'all. Anyway, watch this. Read Mark 1 and 32. Watch this. Remember, he kept saying, you're unclean until the eve. Unclean until the eve. Unclean until the eve. They said evening, it said even. Right. Watch what the word even means. Verse 32. clearly. At even, when the sun did set, this is why we observe, hey, what time the sun set? My daughters, we always say, hey, what time the sun set, honey? Or what time the sun set, Sam? Or she asked me, what time the sun set? We go around asking, what time the sun set? Or we, in other words, what time is even? Means the same thing. At even means sunset. So at even, when the sun did set, they brought unto all that were diseased and them that were possessed with devils. So this was a time that began the night that Lord, that the people were bringing people to Jesus to be healed. The beginning of the night. So now let's go to Genesis 28 and 11. Genesis 28 and 11. Script by script walk. Line upon line, precept upon precept, like Isaiah 28, 9 through 10 say. Do it. That's the principle of delivering God's word. Genesis 28 and verse 11. Watch this. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night. Why did it say all night? Because the sun was set. So the night starts when the sun sets. And you have the beginning of the night. This whole night period is called the night until that sun comes back up. So now, let me finish that. And he took the stones of the place and put them for his pillar and laid down in the place to sleep. Why? Because the night was coming in. Okay? So now, let's go to, which is also called the sunset, and it's called rather the twilight. Let's go to Job 3 and 9. Job 3 and 9. See how this all ties in to evening, sunset, twilight. And it just, after that sun goes, it's set, boom, here come the stars. We're in the twilight. But you still see the light of the sun. It's not completely dark. Darkness is set in. It's not dark yet. So right here, Job 3 and verse 9. Watch this. It said, now this is Job expressing this. Look, notice he said, let the stars of the twilight be dark. In other words, he's expressing, look, because there's stars in the twilight. So Job was saying, look, don't let those stars show up in the twilight. For the simple fact, because there are stars. That's why he said, don't let it, he said, let it be dark. But in other words, let night come just like that. This is what this is an expression of. Notice, he said, let the stars of the twilight be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let the dawning of the day. See, now the dawning of the day, this is on this end. When the sun is getting ready to come up, you have the dawning of the day. We ain't got there yet. So, I want to continue and push on. And we want to take this now to Job 24 and 15. Job 24 and 15. Watch this. It says, let the eyes of the adulterer wait for the twilight. Now, notice, you know, in the twilight, people be creeping in the cars. You know, well, you know, when you get out there, people trying to, when it's getting dark, that's the time you have people out there committing heinous crimes like adultery. But they said, let also the adult eyes of the adulterer wait for the twilight. Why is he waiting for the twilight? Because it ain't completely dark, but it's enough shade where they can be hid. So in the twilight, it's the beginning of the night. It ain't dark yet, but darkness is set in. But you have stars in there. Soon as that sun is set, that moon is going to click, and the stars start appearing in the night. So it also said, the eyes of the adulterer waited for the twilight, saying, no eye shall see me, and disguise his face. So now, what I want to do is go to, let's push on. Let's go to Nehemiah 4 and 21. I want to try to get these in so we can walk straight across this. Nehemiah 4 and 21. Because this whole period is called the night. Then we're going to talk about the midnight. Then we're going to talk about, we kind of touched on a little bit, the dawning of the day, how it's coming in. It ain't there yet until that sun rises. So Nehemiah 4:21. Write these verses down. You can go on our Bible Christians God website, and you can actually print off this handout, and you can follow right along and read right along in your Bible. Right along with us. Nehemiah 4 and 21. Notice what it says. So we labored in the work, and half of them held the spears from the rising of the morning. So that's the part that we ain't got yet. The rising of the morning, that's after the sun come up. Notice it says till the stars appear. When will the stars appear, y'all? In the twilight. And not a moment before. That's why you can see that sun. You can watch it tonight. Watch how the sun is set. I don't think we ever visible. The moon is hardly visible now. Sometimes it is, but during that time, I didn't keep up with tracking with the moon this month. But the point is, you have a part of the moon. It's like very faint, but you watch as soon as that sun go, boom, that light gonna brighten up. Then here come the stars, which is what we just got to read until the appearing of the stars. So now that's what appears in the twilight. So now let's go to 1 Samuel 30 and 17. 1 Samuel 30 and 17. Again, write these verses down, and you can go back and you can actually watch this stuff happen. It's amazing how to watch the Lord's creation. I said, Jewish day, child, please. Wasn't no Jew back there when God said, let there be light. In the evening and in the morning of the first day. That was God. Okay? Talking about a Jewish day. Anyway, a Jewish day. Anyway, not said wish. Anyway, but that's another lesson. 1 Samuel 30 and 17. And we're going to see how events, because we're going to look at the event of Jesus' death on the cross. We're going to look at when the first of the day of Pentecost, what time they were speaking in tongues, allegedly. And then we're going to look at Cornelius. We're going to look at all these little events, y'all. I've just set everything up so you can understand the beginning of a complete day. 1 Samuel 30 and 17. 1 Samuel 30 and verse 17. Watch this, y'all. Now we're going to look at this time period from the twilight even until the evening. Now watch this. It said, and David smote them from the twilight even until the evening of the next day. So that means David was killing men all night long, all the way to the evening of the next day. So that's a lot of killing that was being performed right here. And there escaped not a man of them save 400 young men which rode upon camels and fled. So that was a lot of killing when you look at how long that is from what it said from the twilight even until the evening of the next day. So that went all the way for a whole day, which brought you to for one whole day. David had did some killing right there. Anyway, so now we're going to push on from. Now I want to show you how the Bible tells us a day is from even to even. Let's go to Leviticus 23rd chapter and verse 32. Remember, even means sunset. We read that in Mark 1 and 32. So when we understand what we're reading right here, Leviticus 23 and 32, and this is in regards to the Day of Atonement. But this actually is how every day is observed, from even to even, or from sunset to sunset. And watch, it's going to clearly tell us that. Leviticus 23 and 32. Watch how, and this is regard to the Day of Atonement. Because I remember one guy, he had put out talking about, we only saw the fast and the day part for the Day of Atonement. I'm like, man, he ain't read this. Because this is what the book said. And this is what the book said. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and you shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even from, so that's saying at sunset, because the day ends, and we're going to get to a counting the day, from even to even. Let me bring that up right quick so we can look at that right quick. Remember, take this down so we get a good understanding. And we're going to actually read this. He said, from even you shall celebrate your Sabbaths of rest, and you shall afflict your souls in the ninth day. Sorry about that. It said, you shall afflict your souls in the ninth day. Now, when we count days, he said from even to even is what the next verse says. For even to even shall you celebrate your Sabbath. So from sundown to sundown shall you observe your Sabbath. So now we have here how to count a day. And the day you count, how you count a day is from sundown to sundown. So because you got one night and one day. All that constitute day one. Then you go, let me make sure I bring that up. Make sure that's visible. Day one, night one. This is day one. And a day consists of an evening, which is called night, and a day, which is called light, which is called day. So if you count, after that sun go down again, you pass day one. Then from the next evening is day two to evening is two. From even to evening we go three, because you got a night and a day. Then you got another night and a day. That was day four. Then you have night and a day, which would be day five, or the night, and then night unto day, day six, night unto day, day seven. So we went from even to even to even to even, 7 times to become two, back to the beginning of the week. Show you what I mean by that? Let's go to Matthew 28th chapter right quick. We're going to go to Matthew 28th chapter. Matthew 28 and 1. Let's go to Matthew 28 and 1 right quick. We're going to get back to walking this script. That's how a day is counted. That's how a day is counted. Matthew 28 and verse 1. Now let me bring this back up so we can see, we can actually visually see this. We can visually see it when you lay this thing out. You lay this thing out. That's why I got on this end, right here. Matthew 28 and 1. And it reads, in the end of the Sabbath, because when the sun goes down, that's the end of the day before. That's why we heard in the 9th day at sundown, which ended the 9th day, you begin the 10th day. So when the Sabbath ends, it's called the end of the Sabbath. Like when the sun goes down, it'll be the end of the Sabbath, but the first day of the week. Notice, it said, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week. So when the sun goes down, that is the start of the next day. In that case, as we read, it was the beginning of the first day of the week. Came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to the sepulchre. So now let's continue on. We're going to move to the middle of the night. Let's go to Exodus. Let's go to Exodus, the 12th chapter and verse 29. Now this is the event that the Lord had executed judgment during on the Passover. And he specifically told them, or the Bible specifically tells us when the Lord did kill the firstborn while they were yet in Egypt on the Passover. So we're going to Exodus 12 and verse 29. Exodus 12 and 29. It says, and it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of the cattle. So midnight is the middle of the, why is it called midnight? Because it's in the middle of the night. The night had a beginning when you saw when twilight come up, when the stars started to appear, when you had a red sky, that was the beginning of the night. Now we don't transition to the middle of the night. Now, why do I have these pyramids here? Well, each one of these pyramid shape represent a watch. And we're going to look at that. We're going to look at the watch. There are 3 hours. Each watch represents 3 hours. There are 4 in the day, and there are 4 in the night that come out to a complete day, y'all. So we want to go ahead and define this right quick by going to Lamentations 2:19. Because in the middle of the night, right at midnight, you got 2 watches before you get to midnight, consisting of 3 hours each, and then you got 2 watches after midnight, consisting of 2 hours each. 6 and 6 is what? 12. And you break down the first 2 watches, they consist of 3 hours each. And you're going to see what I mean in a minute here. Let's go to Lamentations 2:19. Lamentations 2:19. We break down, you have a middle of the night because it's the beginning of the night, and the beginning of the night starts when you have those twilights. That's why I remember some brethren of mine, we had a little, we was reasoning together as to when is it dark, when does the day start? Does it start when it's completely dark or when there's darkness on the land? And already, well, at that time, everybody came to a good understanding. Uh-oh. Lost Facebook. All right, our Facebook Live audience, we're going to bring you back up. Yeah, we lost our Facebook audience. Sorry about that. But we're going to go here to Lamentations 2:19. Lamentations 2:19. Now watch this. Lamentations 2:19 says, arise, cry out in the night. That's the part we're in. We're in the night. In the beginning of the watches. Why did it say in the beginning of the watches? Because you have watches that cover the time period of the night. In this case, because we have 4 of them, because during the time of the year when we have equal days and equal nights, that's exactly what's happening. You have a balance of the equal number of watches at night, and then as in the day. We're going to get to that. So right here, it says, in the beginning of the watches, pour out thy heart like water before the face of the Lord. Lift up thy hands toward him, for the life of the young children that faint for hunger in the top of the street. Now let's go quickly to Matthew 14:25 and let it count the watches for us. Matthew 14:25. Now, of course, due to the rotation of the earth around the sun and the tilting of the earth, you have these watches fluctuate. We have these watches fluctuating. I'm going to show you that in a moment. But we want to first get the basic down. Matthew 14 and verse 25. Now watch this. For the night, watch this. It says, and in the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went unto them walking on the sea. Now wait a minute. What's the 4th night of the watch? Let me back up a little bit so that we get a real good understanding. Then we're going to go in here and look at it even closer. I want to start at verse, no, I want to leave it like that. The 4th watch of the night. That's why I have 1, 2, 3, 4 watches. This whole period covers the night. There are 4 watches that cover the night. Now let's go to Luke 12:37, and it's going to actually count the watches. So we have a 4th watch of the night, which means we got a 3rd watch of the night, which means we have a 2nd watch of the night, which means we have a 1st night of the watch. So I'm going to go to Luke 12th chapter, Luke 12:37. We're going to Luke 12:37. We're going to go to Luke 12:37. Now watch this. He's going to break it down. Luke 12:37. Watch what it reads. Blessed are those servants whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall gird himself and make them sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve. And if he should come, watch this, y'all. If he should come in the second watch, so they go to second watch. That's what that represents. That's the second watch. Or in the third watch. So you got a third watch. And then it says, and finally so blessed are those servants. So we know there are how many watches? There are a total of 4 watches. That's how many we have in the night. Now, because we're getting close to the day, let me take this off, because we're going to walk our way right into the day, y'all. So we got 4 watches that cover the night. So if there are 4 watches in the night at this time period, there are 4 watches in the day. Now, I'm going to bring this chart up right quick, because we do have a shift of the earth, and to show you how live the Bible is, I want to bring this back up, and show you, you have here, now in this case, we had the shortest day of the year. Now, when we shift, as the daylight shifts across the planet, like right now, we passed the longest day of the year, so we're on our way to the longest night of the year. The watches shift from being equal to unbalanced. That's how we know we headed toward the end of the year. So now I'm going to go to Judge. That's why this period right here, this has a middle watch. So we go from 3 watches to a total of 5 watches in the night. So that's what we're on our way to right now. Now this right here is accurate to the date. December 21st gives us the sunrise is at 7:50 and sets at 5:10. Gives a total of 9 hours of daylight. This is typically across the planet. 9 hours of daylight, and these 3 watches being 3 hours each is what covers the shortest day in the year. So when the Lord has it flipped over to the longest day of the year, you get the reverse. Let me go right here. You have the longest day of the year. Now it shifts around. So now you have, for representing the night, you have 3. See, 3 times 3 is 9 hours for the night. That's why we just passed the shortest day of the year, the longest day of the year, and the shortest night. The sunrise about 6:38, 6 o'clock a.m., sets at about 9. Gives us our longest day, and it gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 watches in a day. So now, watch this. We're going to go to Judges, the 7th chapter, verse 19. And when this occurs, the Bible calls it the middle watch. It calls it a middle watch. So we're going to go look at Judges 7 and 19. Judges 7 and 19. I'm telling you, this book is accurate. It is real. It gives us this book is involved with us every day, and you can literally sit down and watch these scriptures come across the sky, literally, just all day. Just take your time. When you get right before sunset, when you wake up right early in the morning, you're going to see them stars sitting there. As soon as that sun pop up above the horizon, boom, it disappears. Moon goes, sun goes. I mean, literally like a light switch. I watched it. I was thinking, I was like, come on, man, it don't actually happen like that. Come on, yeah, it actually happens like that. So we're going to Judges 7:19. This is why this is written in the book. Judges 7 and 19. And then we're going to get into some significant events like Jesus' death. And we got into counting the day and understanding when a man is unclean until what? The sun is at even, or the word means the same as sunset. So now we're going to Judges, what I had, Judges 7:19. Judges 7 and 19, watch this, y'all. Judges 7 and 19. So Gideon and 100 men that were with him came into the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch. Now let me bring this back up. So we know this event did not occur during the time when you just had 4 watches. So we can time this event when it occurred based on, we can say the middle watch, it had to be during the period, either the longest day of the year when it was headed toward that, because you have a middle watch. Why? because you have 2 watches before you get to the middle, and then you have 2 watches after the middle when you headed for the longest day of the year, or either the shortest night of the year. That's why I said the middle watch. So the Bible, when you understand how the biblical day plays out, it's actually accurate in tracking how we live in the long days, and then right now we headed for the longer nights. Okay, so right here it says in the beginning of the middle watch, and they had put newly set the watch, and they blew the trumpet and break the pitchers that were in their hands. So now what I want to do, we want to went from the middle of the night. Let's look at another aspect in the New Testament right quick. We're going to go to Matthew 25 and 6 and let it break it down. Break this whole day thing down. Matthew 25 and 6. Like I said again, you can go on our website and drop this in your hand, and you literally are reading the same thing I'm reading. That's all I do is tick it off the website and say, boom, I follow the script I got there. So it's the same thing. Very same thing. Matthew 25. And I'm going to lead into this because this is talking about how you had the foolish virgins and the wise virgins. But we're going to look at when the Lord came by starting at verse 5 to read into it. It said, and while the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept, which means we're talking about at night. Okay, and watch this. And at midnight, there was made, a cry was made. So at midnight, the same time the Lord slew the firstborn in Egypt, is what we're talking about right here. The same time period, there was a cry made, and behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go you out to meet him. Now let's go quickly to Acts 16 and 25. Acts 16 and 25. And we ain't even got to the highlights yet, y'all. Because we're going to look at how the Lord accurately predicted when Jesus was going to die, down to the very watch and the hour. That's when we get over to this part, and when we get into the day part of this thing, y'all. We'll be going to Acts 16, Acts 16 and 25. Acts 16 and 25. And like I said, you could literally watch this whole thing just pan across the sky, especially tonight. Just before the sunset, watch how them stars. You might see them. I don't know if is the moon visible now during the day, kind of.
Last night.
Huh?
It was last night.
Okay. So if you can see a little bit of the moon toward the evening, watch what happens when that. So it's kind of dim. Soon as that sun drop, that over like that. You're like, who hit the switch? And then stars start going. Start coming up slowly but surely. You start seeing it. Even before the complete sunlight is going away. That's why they say you can see Jupiter when it's after sunset, or you can see Mars, or you can start seeing some of the planets. Even while the sunlight of the previous day is still there, but we done crossed over to the beginning. We done crossed over to that first watch. Now we headed on to midnight. So right here, Acts 16 and 25. We're going to read something. Acts 16 and 25. Now, the purpose of understanding this is so you could track when events occurred. And you kind of get a better sense of realism with the Bible. Kind of locks everything in. You're like, man, this just didn't haphazardly happen at any time. These events had occurrences that are validated or are indicated or are shown to you in the Bible that they happen at a certain time, such as what Paul did right here. Let's see what Paul did at midnight right here. Verse 25. And at midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. So Paul did some praying at midnight, right in the middle of the night, y'all. When everybody else was asleep, him and Silas prayed, and they sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. So this just to show you that these events that are written in the Bible ain't just in here for nothing, y'all. But look, we tracking the day. We was tracking the day. Let's go now to, I want to go to Psalms 104 and verse 20. Psalms 104 and verse 20. And we're going to get to the part where Peter, boy, y'all see what I mean in a minute. It's some good stuff in there. I can't wait to get to that part as well. But Psalms 104 and verse 20. which is going to deal with this whole period of darkness. Because we passing the middle of the night. Now watch this. Verse 20. Thou makest darkness, and it is night. So this darkness which has a beginning and an end, this whole period is called night. And we see the Bible calls it also the evening. So this is the period that's part of our definition, because we read the close of a day, and notice the start of the night. So this whole evening is called darkness. It is called night. Okay? So now I want to continue on. Now we're going to move on toward as the sun is getting ready to come in, y'all. We finna go now. Let's go to Acts 27 and 33. Now we're going early morning. I mean early morning. We're talking 4 or 5 in the morning. That last watch of the night. With those of us that are in the military, we used to waking up in that. 5 o'clock. That's like. Okay, they call it Old Dark 30. Yeah. Okay, we used to doing this, y'all. So, Acts 27 and 33. Watch this. Acts 27 and 33. So, like I said, you can take this chart, go over the notes, and just track it right through the book. Anything I may have missed, we can ask about it in the question and answers on the chart. I got all the charts, so we can lay it all out if we have to go through a particular point again. But we're going to go Acts 27 and 33, then we're going to skip down. We're going to show you how this here is headed toward the day. We ain't got there yet, but we just about the end of the day. We ain't, the night, rather. We in the end part of the night. So right here, Acts 27 and 33. And this is what it says. And while the day was coming on, so the day starts coming on in that last watch. That's when you start seeing, you can get up early in the morning. You start seeing stars before the sun actually rises. You see stars out in the morning. But soon as that sun pop up above that rising, poof, they like, hey, where they go? Where they at? They disappeared. Why? Because you don't went into the daytime. But before then, the day is coming on. Notice, Paul besought them all to take meat, saying, this day is the 14th day that you have tarried and continue fasting, having taken nothing. Now let's skip down to verse of 39, because we got to get through the day part of this thing. Notice, verse 39. And when it was day, notice, when it was day. When is it day? When that sun breaks that horizon, it is day. And we're going to see that as we go into the day part of this thing. So now let's go into Joshua 6:15. Joshua 6:15. We're almost in the day part of this thing, y'all. Joshua 6:15. Yeah, I'm taking it straight from the script, script by script, day by hour, watch by watch. So that way you can print this off and you can have this lesson literally in your hand. Somebody else can teach from. I don't care how they do it. This is his book. It don't belong to me. Child, please. I thank you, Jesus, for showing it to me. So right here, Joshua 6:15. Watch this, Joshua 6:15. As it came to pass on the 7th day, it didn't say the Sabbath day. Notice that they rose early about the dawning of the day. So they rose early. So this is in this last watch before the dawning of the day. We're gonna walk this right into the sunrise, y'all. You see what I mean in a minute. Let me finish this. It says, I lost my place. Okay. And the dawn of the day, and could pass the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they could pass the city 7 times. Now this is when the fall of Jericho occurred. So, but that's another lesson. But my point, main, is the dawn of the day is coming. So we head into the daytime now. Let's go to St. John 20th chapter. St. John 20. St. John 20. We just lost the lesson. St. John 20. Now here we go. Early. We're real early, y'all. Watch this. It's the same time period, right before sunrise. right before sunrise. It says, the first day of the week coming mathematically early when it was yet dark. So now we're talking, why it's yet dark? Because we still got the twilight. We still haven't got out of night, because this whole period covered darkness is called night. So while it was yet dark, notice, in the first day of the week came, while it was yet dark unto the subject, they see the stone and take it away the subject. So now, this is before sunrise. It was yet dark, but it was dawning toward the first day of the week. So now let's get into that. Let's one more. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to Matthew 28:1. Back to Matthew 28:1. Matthew 28:1. Matthew 28:1. So the Sabbath is ended. So we in the night part, which ends the day before. Now watch what it said. In the end of the Sabbath, which is the night, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, carried Mary Magdalene, the other mother of Mary, to see the subject. So we're talking about the same time period that's right before sunrise. So now let's get into the sunrise, y'all. Let's go into 2 Samuel 23:4. 2 Samuel 23:4. 2 Samuel 23:4. Let's get into the sunrise. Now we're crossing over into the day part. We headed over here. We're headed into this part. Okay? Make sure I got it. We don't move past the night. Now we're on the day part. So 2 Samuel 23 and verse 4. Watch this. It says, and he shall be as the light of the morning when the sun riseth. So when the sun rises, that constitutes the morning. The sun is on its way up. That's why you have what's called AM, PM. Now, let me point this out right quick. The time period from when the sun goes down, let me take it from an easier perspective. When you hear AM, we're talking in the morning. What you're actually saying is that the sun has reached the point where now it's on its way back up above you, no matter where you at on the planet. So, and then once it goes all the way over your head, and it ain't going no higher, guess what we just reached? The noon. Now we in the evening part, meaning it's in action now. Now the sun is on its way. It's evening, meaning it's active. So it's active and going. That's why we call it the evening after what? The noon. You say, 3 o'clock in the evening, 4 o'clock in the evening. Everybody know about noon. Then you say 5 o'clock in the evening. Because what's happening is the sun is actually moving all the way down to do what? Get even with you. So there's the evening action that's on here, and it's on its way down. But that only can occur between afternoon. So AM means the sun is on its way up. Like soon as you pass midnight, the sun is on its way back up above you, which begins what's called AM. And then after it's hit noon, then you're in the PM. That's all AM, PM means. AM means the sun is on its way back up. PM means the sun is on its way back down. So we read 2 Samuel 23 and 4. Now let's look at this morning a little closer, y'all. Let's go to Exodus 12 and 10. Exodus 12 and 10. We on the day part of this thing now. Make sure I'm not blocking. We on the day part. The sun is risen. Now what I have on this chart, when you print it out, I got the triangles representing 3-hour watches. Now the little broken up circles represent the hours that we literally have, like the first hour, the second hour, the third hour of the day, the fourth hour of the day, the fifth hour of the day, the sixth hour of the day. So, and there are 12 hours in the day when it's equal. When you have 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night. But like we showed you on these other charts, that fluctuates. It shifts as the sun is rotating around Earth. And we're going to get into that in a little bit here. But each one of these little broken dots represent the hour of the day. So now, I want to go to Exodus 12 and 10. So that we tracking what constitutes the morning. Because you got people that don't think you should start observing the Sabbath till the morning. No, the day been started when the sun went down, y'all. The day been started. So verse 12, and within the chapter, Exodus chapter 12. 12 and verse 10. Exodus 12 and verse 10. Now this is in regards to the Passover, just to kind of give you a good fix on what this is talking about. And the Lord had explicit instructions that only apply to the Passover. Only apply to the Passover when it was in a carnal aspect of itself. So right here, Exodus 12 and verse 9, when they killed the Passover. We're going to read that verse 9. He said, eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his heads with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof. And you shall let none of it remain until the morning. And that which remaineth of it until the morning, you shall burn with fire. So the Passover can only be taken at night. That's what makes the Passover so unique. It can only be taken in the evening part of the day. It cannot be taken during the daytime. So anything that remains after the sunrise, you have to burn it. That's what makes it different from the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Feast of Unleavened Bread, you can do all day long. There's no restrictions on when you got to deal with that. So, pushing right along, let's go to Luke 24 and 1. Luke 24 and 1. We're in the day part. Luke 24 and 1. Luke 24 and 1. Here we go. Now upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they came to the sepulchre bringing spices, and which had prepared certain others with them. So now we're seeing it come very early in the morning, meaning we see here, it said not upon the first day of the week. Meaning we inside of the first day of the week already, y'all, and early in the morning. It's kind of like still in this part right here because the sun hadn't quite risen yet, based on other accounts, just to let you know. So now, I want to go to Mark 16 and 1. Mark 16 chapter and verse 1. And then we're going to find out that in the Bible, because you have midnight, you also have what's called midday.
Right.
Because the night has a beginning and an end, and the morning has a beginning and an end. And in the middle of the day, it's called midday, or we all call noon. You know, we all use the term noon. We all familiar with that, but the Bible also has the term midday. So right here in Mark 16 and verse 1. It says, and when the Sabbath was passed, now notice he said when the Sabbath is passed, meaning the sun has set. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James and Solomon, had brought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, so very early here in the morning, they came, it says, they came to the sepulchre at the what? At the rising of the sun. Now the sun is up. So now we in the day part, right here. Clearly after, it's telling us after the sun has risen. So now I want to push on, and let's go and let's get into some of these early morning hours. Let's go to Acts right quick. Let's go to Acts 2 and 15. We're going to start counting these, what the hours of the day is. It's also the same as the night, but I want to stick with what's written with the book, and all you need to do is flip it over to the night, because what's good for the day part is also applicable to the night part. It's just that it's applied here in Scripture the way it is, and we're going to look at the way it is. Acts 2 and 15. Now watch this, because each one of these little circles represent an hour of the day. And this is when the day of Pentecost is fully come. Because when the night starts, now we pass in the sunrise part, which means the day has fully come. Because without the sunrise, you haven't got to a complete day yet. So once that sun is risen, now the day has fully come. Because it started with the night, now we in the day part, which completes a complete biblical day. That's why it states this, Acts 2 and 1. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were with one accord in one place. Because we had went past a sundown, now we in the sunrise, Now let's skip all the way down to Acts 2 and 15 and watch what hour of the day was. Acts 2 and verse 15. Without going to them speaking in tongues and everybody understanding what they said, because they did. Watch what Peter says here at let's get a good fix on it. We're gonna start at verse 14. Because they thought Peter and them were drunk. And watch, I don't know, maybe Israel was drinking this early, y'all. I don't know. Anyway, but verse 14, it says, because I'm not a drinker, yo, so I can't picture myself drinking this early. But look what Peter says, verse 14. But Peter, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, Ye men of Judea, and all ye that dwell in Jerusalem, be this known unto you, and hearken you to my words. But these are not drunken, as you suppose, seeing it's but the third hour of the day. So we're looking at 9 a.m., this third hour of the day. Each one of these little dots. So we're looking at 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't think Israel got that drunk back then. I'm wondering now. Anyway, but each one of these little circles. So we're looking at 9 a.m. when this went forth that Peter said, but this is that which is spoken of the prophet Joel. So we had services early in the morning, 9 a.m., y'all, and there was a lot of people there. A lot. It said, you go on and we keep reading, it said 3,000 souls was added. Something like that. So Israel got it in early, y'all. Nowadays, Israel, child, please. You be lucky to get it in this, man. Look. I'm sitting there talking about you got services at 9 a.m. in the morning. You be sitting up there with crickets. Israel get there about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Anyway, but early, this is the third hour of the day, is 9 o'clock a.m. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to go to Acts. I'm going to go and show you the daytime period. Let's go to St. John 11 and 9. We talked about the night. We talked about what midnight was. Now we're going to talk about the daytime. St. John 11 and 9. Now we're talking about the whole daytime period. And Jesus described it clearly right here. And this is how we know this is during the time of the equinox, which precedes the Passover. You got to have that equinox to precede the Passover. But right here, St. John 11 and 9. But that's one of the, I'm going to retract that. That's one of the elements to determine when the Passover is, the equinox. Let me state that. So right here, St. John 11 and verse 9. Watch what Jesus says right here. Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumble not, because he seeth the light of this world. So the light of this world starts from the sunrise to when that sun go down. So all this is considered the 12-hour period that Jesus was talking about, and he called it the day. Let's confirm this with Psalms 136 and 8. Psalms 136, verse 8. Psalms 136 and verse 8. And you can literally see this happen. Literally watch it happen, y'all, especially on a nice clear night. Man, that sun going down, boom, that moon light up. Like somebody put the light switch on. But right here, he clearly tells us here, and we're going to read verse 8 now. I'm going to read verse 8 now. I know I got this verse 8 on here, but we're going to read Psalms 36, verse 8 and 9. It says, The sun to rule by day, for his mercy endures forever. So the sun ruleth the whole day. That's why the moon, I've seen it when the moon be out there like, had real faded. And guess what? As soon as that sun go down, boom, that moon light up like, man, like extra, about 10 extra shades brighter. Anyway, but notice, he said, and the moon and the stars to rule by night. That's why as soon as that sun go down, the moon light up and the stars pop out. That's how you know you're in the beginning of the night, or that's how you know the day has ended. So now, let's go to Ecclesiastes 1 and 5. Ecclesiastes 1 and 5. We almost done with this, y'all. But if you have any further questions, we're going to deal with this in the conference call room and Q&A. Ecclesiastes 1 and 5. Watch this, y'all. So from the sunrise to the sunset constitutes a day. The day part of a day. not the night part, because when the sun rises, it just ended what's called the time period called the night. So we have the day and we have the night. So now we're in the day part, and watch what it says. The sun also ariseth. That's Ecclesiastes 1:5. And the sun goes down and hastens to his place where he arose. In other words, that sun is going up and it's going back down, which means it's going from its AM to its PM to get back to AM so it can hurry up and get back up. In other words, that's why it said it hastened to his place where he arose. Meaning it want to come back up and rise because it ruled the day. So now let's go look at noon. Let's look at the middle of the day, y'all. Let's go to Acts 10 and 9. Acts 10th chapter. And that's why when you see what Peter was beginning to be hungry, you understand, hey, because it was lunchtime. That's why Peter was hungry. Right here in Acts 10th chapter and verse 9. It says, on the morrow, as they went into their journey and drew nigh to the city, Peter went up to the housetop to pray about the 6th hour, and he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance. Now, what is the 6th hour of the day? When you count from each, you got 3 watches doing it. You got 2 watches before you get to noon. So if you count for each watch, you got 3 hours. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hour of the day is noon. And we all understand when lunchtime comes around, we get what? We get hungry, y'all. On average, I put it like that. Some folks, but I know most folks get hungry during the 6th hour of the day, which is noon. Now let's let the Bible tell us that this is noon. Let's go to Genesis 43 and 16. Genesis 43 and 16. Genesis 43 and 16. Again, you can print this off and walk this bad boy straight down the pipe. Scripture by scripture. That's why I call it a script by script walk of a biblical day. And did no Jew create this, y'all. This is all God. Flat out. 43 and 16. Genesis 43 and verse 16. Watch this. And see, these events, when we go and you take it into the context of understanding the time of day, then you kind of like, if you were a script writer, you know, hey, this thing happened about noon, or this thing happened in the morning, or this thing happened at night. You can literally write out the play or reenact the events by understanding the time these events occurred. So right here, look what Joseph did. And when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the ruler of the house, bring these men home and slay and make ready, for these men shall dine with me at noon. So what are we talking about here? In other words, you get ready to have what? Lunch. So when you key it into the context, there's a preparation going on here for them to have lunch with Joseph at noon. So now let's go and let one other place. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28:9. And this is Israel's problem right here, y'all. We be moping at noon, and the Lord sure said it. Right here, 28 and 29. Deuteronomy 28 and 29. Actually, I'm going to read it to that. I like that verse before that. Then we go into 29. So we're going to start at 28. And the Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart, and thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness. Thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall buy thee. So we talking about events that occur with us doing the what? The noon. So now here's what I want to do. I want to walk us right to Jesus, y'all. Watch this. Let's go into Luke 23 and 44. Show you right when Jesus began to give up the ghost. Luke 23 and 44. Now we're going to look at the time that Jesus died. And we're going to let it tell us when when the Father calls the heavens to darken the sky. When did he darken the sky? Luke 23 and 44. That's where we at. Luke 23 and 44. Right after he told the thief on the cross he would be with him in paradise. Watch this, y'all. And it was Luke 23 and 44. And it was about the 6th hour, and there was a darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour, and the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. So now, he said about the what? The 6th hour, which is what? Noon. Now let's let the Bible tell you this in the prophecy, that this had to happen by going to Amos 8 and 9. Amos 8 and 9. So the Lord had to die during the season that he died after the equinox, because had it been any other time of the year, this wouldn't occur right then and there. That's how we know it's a matter of when the new moon and when the equinox is and when the vegetation begins to bring forth. All that is vital to determining when the Passover, because this is when Jesus was on the cross, on the Passover. And it can only occur like this in the month of Abib. This is what we read now concerning Jesus' death. He died in the month of Abib in the middle of the week. So Amos 8 and 9, watch this. Because this is concerning Jesus. It said, and it shall come to pass that in that day, said the Lord God, that I will cause the sun to go down at noon, and I would darken the earth in a clear day, and I would turn your feasts into mourning, and all your songs into lamentations, and I will bring a sackcloth upon all loins, and baldness upon every head, and I will make it as a mourning of an only son, and the end thereof as a bitter day. So when we go back and we look at Luke 23rd chapter, we clearly see verse 44 and verse 45 prophesied to the noggin, right on the dime, and this can only happen during the month of Abib, when Jesus was on the cross, right there. So from noon to 3 o'clock, y'all, is when the Lord darkened the earth. This is the time that Jesus gave up the ghost and he died. So every time when you see, when you get to the 9th hour of the day, every day you can say, man, that's when the Lord died. He gave up the ghost by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was over. So now let's look at this process as we closing this day out, y'all. Let's go to Acts 10th chapter right quick. Acts 10 and 3. Because now in this Acts 10 and 3, going back to the situation with Cornelius going to request Peter, watch this, y'all. Now, this is the Gentile Cornelius, and we're going to see what time of day this event occurred. And right here, we're going to start at Acts 10 and 1. The time of day that this actually occurred, y'all. And there was a certain man, Caesarea, called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called Italian band, a devout man, and one that feared God with all his house, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to God always. And he saw in the vision evidently about the 9th hour of the day. So we're looking at the 9th hour of the day, which would put it at 3 o'clock. It's when this vision happened to Cornelius to send, this angel appeared rather to Cornelius to send for Peter. It happened about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we understand the events that happened in the Acts 10th chapter span 2 days, because the following days when Peter was actually contacted by noon. So now I'm going to go to Luke 4th chapter and watch. Now we're closing out the day part, y'all. We're closing it out by going to Luke 4 and verse 40. Luke 4 and 40. We almost done with the day. Luke 4th chapter and verse 40. Watch this. Now when the sun was setting, meaning the sun now, it done past noon, now it's setting, or actually it's evening now. Like the sun is getting ready, steady going out. The sun is getting ready to do what? Sun what? Set. That's why when the sun, that's why you say, what time is what? Sunset. But before it got there, it was doing what? It was setting itself. Or it was in the evening part, which is closing out the day. So now, let's go to, I'm going to go to Nehemiah 13 and 19. Nehemiah 13 and 19. We almost there, y'all. And you can literally watch the scripture just walk across the sky. If you sit outside all day, from especially like at night, then you get up early in the morning, watch the scripture jump out the pages, and then, right, like this evening, you go out there and just watch the sun get ready to set. As soon as that sun goes out there, Lord, right on time. Amen. Right on time. So Nehemiah 13 and 19. Now, this is the case right here. This is happening right before sunset. Because the sun is setting. And we know as the sun is setting, you have the evening shadows start coming out. Starts getting dark. It ain't dark yet. And the sun ain't went down yet. But watch how it describes our evenings, y'all. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark, before the Sabbath, in other words, before the sun went down, it begins to be what? Dark. You can watch that this evening. He said, I commanded that the gates should be shut and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And some of my servants said, I at the gates, that there should no burden be brought in on the Sabbath day. So now we got this evening process of the sun going down. So now let's go to Matthew 14 and 15. Matthew 14 chapter, verse 15. I think I might have duplicated myself on this one. Okay. Watch this. We're looking at Matthew's 14th chapter, verse 15. We're going to read down to 23. And when it was evening, his disciples came unto him saying, now notice he's saying this is evening. Now which evening is this? Are we talking about the evening after the sun went down or before the sun went down? We're going to let the whole context tell us, y'all. It says, and when it was evening, his disciples came to him saying, this is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away that they may go into the villages and buy themselves victuals. But Jesus said unto them, they need not depart. Give me them to eat. And they said unto him, we have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And he said, bring them hither to me. Now watch as we keep going. Skip down to verse 20. And they did eat all and were filled and took up the fragments and remained 12 baskets. And they had eaten and they that had eaten were about 5,000 men besides women and children. And straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into the ship to go before him unto the other side while he sent the multitude away. Now watch this, y'all. And when he sent the multitude away, he went up into the mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, oh, you mean to tell me the evening wasn't there yet? Or, as we understand the definition, the close of a day is part 1, and the start of the night is part 2. The word evening is a 2-part definition, y'all. So when you look in the Bible, you have to see which evening are you dealing in. Are you dealing with the one where the sun is setting, or are you dealing with the one after the sun is setting? And clearly we see, like it said, and when it was evening, then when it said, and when the evening come, it clearly defines what we read in its definition, y'all. So let me finish that verse. It says, and when he had sent the multitude away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when evening was come, he was there alone. Now watch this. But the ships was now in the midst of the sea, tossed to the waves, for the wind was contrary. Now, when you read in verse 25, it says, and in the 4th watch of the night. So from the evening all the way out to the 4th watch of the night, now we understand which evening we're talking about. Because the evening that was coming was the sun setting, and the one when it came was the start of the night. So now, let's go to Deuteronomy 23 and 11. We almost done. One other verse after this, Deuteronomy 23 and verse 11. So we done went from the daytime all the way out, and we went from the night into the day. Now we're closing out the day, y'all. 23 and verse 11. Deuteronomy 23 and verse 11. Here we go. But it shall be when evening cometh on. In other words, the sun is setting. When the sun is setting, that's another word for this. When the evening cometh on, he shall wash himself with water. And notice, when the sun is down, he shall come to the camp, what? Again. Which means we got the evening happening. So when that sun go down, boom, he clean. Which represents what sundown means, or what evening is, or what the twilight is. So now we see the closing of the day constitute, like it's defined, the evening is the close of the day and the start of the night. So let me see, it's our last place. Let's go to Genesis 15th chapter, verse 17. I want to make sure I got that. Genesis 15 and 17. Now, I'm aware, you know what? I omitted something right quick. Let me read the word midday, because we got midnight in the Bible. I missed this. Let's go to 1 Kings 18 and 29. Sorry about that, y'all. 1 Kings, I skipped this, 18 and 29. Because we have midnight, and the Bible also calls the noon midday. So we're going 1 Kings 18 and 29. Almost left this out. Because on this chart, we have midnight. Everybody know about midnight, but we call midday, we all call it noon. Don't matter what I'm talking about. Hey, can you meet me at midday? That sounds real strange to me. I was like, wait a minute, it makes sense, y'all. Because if you got a middle of the night, then you got a middle of the what? Day. So here it is, right here. Right here. And it came to pass, this is verse 29, and it came to pass when midday was past, notice, and they prophesied unto the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice. So you got the evening sacrifices. Then it says, there was neither voice nor any answer nor any that regarded. So we have from midday, which is the middle of the day, and then the evening sacrifices start when that sun go down, y'all. That's the cycle. They had time to sacrifice day and night. So one other spot, just to bag that up, Nehemiah 8 and 3. I almost left these out. And then we're going to close out the day with sundown. Nehemiah 8 and 3. Nehemiah 8. Nehemiah 8 and 3. Here's the breakdown. And he read therein before the streets that was before the water gate. Now, this is a Bible study, y'all, going on, believe it or not. The whole context of this is a Bible study. And they dealt a long time. Watch this. Here we go. And he read therefore the streets that was before them, before the water gate, from the morning until midday. So from the morning till noon, or like the book just said, the midday, which is the same thing as noon, before men and women that could understand, and the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law. So now, let's go moving right along. I want to go to, let me check that over there. Let's go to the last verse, y'all, Genesis 15 and 17. Genesis 15 and 17. Again, all this is available online on our handout tab. It's got it all in straight out, you know, with the changes, with the fluctuation of the longest day and the longest nights, and to a standard day that proceeds for the equinox, and from the when Jesus died, and the count of a biblical day. So Genesis 15 and 17 is where we're going to end at right here. Genesis 15 and 17. Genesis 15 chapter, verse 17. Watch this, y'all. And it came to pass that when the sun went down, which we understand clearly constitute the next what? Day. Okay? It was what? Dark. So now, from the point, because it says, and it was dark, which means from the time the sun went down until when it was dark, because you got the twilight, which means it wasn't dark then. So you have to wait till the twilight passed. You at least got past the first watch. I'll put it like that. Was a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham. So now we see this is the next day. Because when the sun went down, now we're talking about another day. Now it was dark. Now we see it said that God made a covenant with Abraham, saying, until I see have I given his hand from the river of Egypt unto the great river, unto the river Euphrates. So now we had just closed out the day by the sun going down. We went from sundown, even, to sundown, even. Even to even is how the Lord measures out a day. And God created this, not no Jew. Okay? So I hope you guys are understanding of a complete biblical day, scripture by scripture. So with that being said,